Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. I hope each and everyone are there doing great and having good health. Welcome to Fahad's tutorial once again, and this video is about acid, base and balance. And this is comparatively easy and understandable chapter, and this is very interesting also. In the entire class, the sequentially I shall upload the other versions of this class. The entire class we need to study about acid, base and related things, and you'll see the main content of this chapter so that it will be much more understandable that what we need to study sequentially, and so that after completing the whole series of videos, a complete picture would be in front of you that what is studied. And this is a very primary level discussions when we'll study about A-level chemistry and even HSC chemistry and even more. Then this would be your basement, that you understood something in your O-level and SSC level syllabus. So think about the main content. In this chapter we need to study about acid. What is acid? What is the definition of it, and what are the properties of it? What is concentrated acid, dilute acid, what are their properties? Then we need to study about base and alkali. What is base? We know that the metallic or reactive radical oxides and hydroxides, those who actually undergoes reactions with acid to produce salt and water, these are base. And among those are soluble in water, those base are known as alkali. I hope you know it in your previous classes you have studied, but in this lesson, after when I'll study about more about base and alkali, I shall explain something unique about this base and alkali. Number 4, this is very important. We need to study the conception of pH. What is pH? The power of pH. What is the range, and how we can identify that which solution is acidic or either basic. Definitely the most important part is neutralizing or neutralization reaction. We know that when acid undergoes reaction with base, it produces salt and water. This is neutralization reaction. You definitely studied this on your previous chapter where chemical reactions were discussed. On that chapter, definitely you studied about the neutralization reaction. Think about acid ring, something new. I shall upload an individual class on it. And then another unique part is water. Water, the hardness of water, soft water and hard water, the reason behind that, how water is getting polluted in our daily life activities, and the process of purification. In this case, we also need to know about something which is about BOD, which is known as biological oxygen demand, and this is COD, which is chemical oxygen demand. So these are the important content. You see that we have to study this amount of thing, and I need at least 8 to 9 class including this to complete the whole chapter. In this video I shall discuss about only acid. Think about what is acid. Acid are those compounds, those who actually dissolves in water and decomposes proton. Simply think about hydrochloric acid, which is already given on your book. In aqueous solution, when it actually dissolves, then proton or hydrogen ion will be dissociated and something like an ion. Think about nitric acid. Think about nitric acid in aqueous solution. When it will dissolve in water, it produces proton and nitrate ion. Think about sulfuric acid, H2SO4 in aqueous solution. When it will dissolve in water, then it will produce 2H plus and sulfate, 2H plus and sulfate, SO4 in aqueous solution. So it will be SO4 2 minus aqueous solution. Now you think this is a unidirectional arrow sign. It means that when it will dissolve in water, it will actually decomposes 100%. So the activity of these acids are much more higher than some acids, like you may know about it. This is carbonic acid, or even this is CH3COOH, very well known and used acid. This is ethanoic acid or acetic acid. So when they actually dissolve, we need to express it these reactions and this sign. It means that this is actually weak acid or diluted acid. So here it will produce 2H plus aqueous plus CO3 minus. Here I mean CH3 COO and H plus. Think about it. I mean, this sign expresses that like if we say that in ethanoic acid 0.4% proton will be dissolved in this sort of thing. So this ethanoic acid and this carbonic acid, they are known as weak acid or dilute acid. So we can say this is actually dilute acid, and here these are actually strong acid or concentrated acid. So you know the meaning of concentrated means where the concentration of the acid is much more higher than water. Because when what is the meaning of this aqueous? This is aqueous. So aqueous solution is when liquid HCl is mixed with water, then it will produce hydrochloric acid's aqueous solution. So if the concentration of hydrochloric acid is higher than water, then we say this is concentrated HCl. But if the concentrations of water is much higher, then we'll say that this is dilute acid. So the strength of acid depends on the dissociation power or the rate of dissociation of proton in the solutions. When it will dissolve in water, if it dissociates 100% proton, then we say this is strong acid. But in this case, when you use it, it means that reversible. So this is dilute or weak acid. So what we actually studied here, this is actually given on your book, so you can have it from your textbook or on your O-level book. So acid is two types. Number one, strong acid, and dilute acid. So where the decomposition is 100%, so it dissolves 100%. Another way we can actually say that acid is two types, which is inorganic acid and organic acid. What are those? Inorganic acids like hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, carbonic acid, sulfuric acid, phosphoric acid, perchloric acid, these are inorganic. But about organic acid, those are actually found in our foods, like milk. Think about milk. In milk you'll find lactic acid. Think about a vinegar. In vinegar you'll find ethanoic acid. In tamarind, very well known in Bangladesh, tamarind, it's actually tartaric acid. Or you can have like a lemon or orange. In lemon you will have a citric acid. In tea, day-to-day life we love tea. In tea we have a tannic acid. So well, this is actually something like in milk, lactic acid, vinegar, ethanoic acid, tamarind, tartaric acid, lemon and orange, citric acid. Even there are some other number of acid like palmitic acid, oleic acid, number of things. These are the organic acid. Those acids are found usually in foods. These are organic acid. I just say some sort of example. You might have Google and you can have a lot of names of organic acid also. So I'm just giving some limitations in every cases. So I'm just giving you that idea. that acid can be two types. Strong acid and dilute acid. Strong acid in case of concentration, the concentrated or strong acid, or you can say weak acid or diluted acid. In other case, we can say that organic acid and inorganic acid. Organic acid are found in food. Usually those foods are actually sour in taste. Definitely you have tasted tamarind, and this is tartaric acid, it's sour. So those acids, I mean those foods are actually acidic, they will definitely taste sour. So this is the primary discussion about acid. So what is the definition of acid? If this is the questions, then we can say three things in case of defining acid. Acid, think about it, HCl. So it will dissolve in water and produce H plus ion or proton ion. So defining acid, we say must first that those compounds will dissociate H plus when it will dissolve in water. This is acid. Number one. Number two, if we change this hydrogen or substitute this hydrogen with more reactive metal or metal like or the radicals, then it will produce like something like that, which is salt. And again, if HCl undergoes with sodium hydroxide, then you know that sodium plus will produce sodium chloride and water. So simply we can define acid in a broader way, like depends that those compounds dissociate hydrogen ion when it dissolves in water, and then this substituted hydrogen can be substituted by the metal, reactive metal or the radicals and produce salt, and those compounds undergoes reactions with base and produce salt and water. They are known as acid. So three things. Okay, now think about the most interesting part of acid, the properties of acid. What are the properties of acid? If I say, see the points, the properties of acid. What are the properties? Number one is taste. I said it earlier that acid will definitely taste sour. So the taste would be sour, corrosive. Okay. Definitely, acids are corrosive. If you just put a metal rod inside the acids, it will definitely be corroded. So this is dangerous. So acids are corrosive. So simply we can say this is corrosive. Litmus paper. You must remember one thing, that acid turns blue litmus paper into red. So we can say that litmus paper would be blue to red. So this is very important, blue to red. So we can simply use also another pen like this, blue to red. So in litmus test, I will definitely explain it in this conception of pH about the litmus paper or litmus test or measuring pH. I will explain it how the acid turns blue litmus paper to red. This is an indication. The litmus paper is an indicator that indicates either this solution is acidic or basic. If you see that if you pour a part of a litmus paper, blue litmus paper into any solution, and if it turns into red, then you will understand this is acid. Okay? Reactive metal. Mind it that when acid, I mean dilute acid will undergoes reactions with metal, then it will produce hydrogen gas. This is produce hydrogen gas. In this case, when metal carbonate or metal bicarbonate, if any dilute acid undergoes reactions with these, they will produce carbon dioxide gas. They will produce carbon dioxide gas. In this case, in metal oxide, when acid undergoes reactions with metal oxide, then it produces salt and water, and this is the neutralization reaction. So we must say that when acid undergoes with the reaction of base, then it produces salt and water. So primarily you can say these are the properties of acid, and this is very important because if you see these questions in the paper, you must answer properly. I'm just coming up with another explanation on it. Just see this one, that the properties of acid: test is sour, all acids are corrosive, depends on the concentration. Litmus paper, blue would be red. Reactive metal, when dilute acid with reacts with a reactive metal, then it produces hydrogen gas. In case of metallic carbonate and bicarbonate, it produces carbon dioxide. And in metal oxide, it's actually base, and it produces salt and water. Now come with the reaction. Prove that sulfuric acid H2SO4 is an acid. Or if the question is, if prove that nitric acid is an acid, how you can prove it? How you can prove it? So if the question is prove that H2SO4, or even whatever you may think about HCl, you may think about HNO3, whatever, is an acid, we must say number one. Well, in case of testing the acid, you must not practice these in laboratory. If you try to test every test of acid, then you might not find a ton. So this is corrosive. Sulfuric acid, test sour, it's corrosive. In case of litmus paper, sulfuric acid will turn blue litmus paper into red. Completely, you just write these three things. So in case of reaction, when sulfuric acid is dilute sulfuric acid, will react with reactive metal. So H2SO4, when it will react with zinc, then it will produce zinc sulfate plus hydrogen gas. This is very important. This is really important. So when sulfuric acid will undergo the reactions with reactive metal, then it will produce, even we think about sulfuric acid, if H2SO4 undergoes reaction with calcium, that simply this is calcium sulfate and hydrogen gas. Think about sodium, in this case sodium sulfate and hydrogen. Okay. Number two, when acid reacts with metal carbonate, think about calcium carbonate, think about magnesium carbonate. Okay, think about H2SO4, sulfuric acid in both cases. Then what will be the reaction? The reaction will be, you see that calcium positive carbonate and this one, they will actually interchange with them. So calcium will come with sulfate, produce calcium sulfate, and then H2CO3 will be dissociated and produce H2O plus CO2. So it will be calcium sulfate plus H2O plus CO2. You see? Metallic carbonate, metal, calcium, magnesium, metallic carbonate, CO3 is a carbonate, you know from the understanding of radicals. Here, what would be the magnesium sulfate plus water plus carbon dioxide. So simply, when acid will react with metallic carbonate, then it will produce carbon dioxide gas. Now most important, number three, when dilute acid will react with base, what will happen? Base means metallic oxide or hydroxide. Think about it. So sulfuric acid, so it undergoes with calcium hydroxide. Think about it, calcium hydroxide. Or if you say that sulfuric acid is undergoes reactions with magnesium oxide, or even sulfuric acid is think about ferrous hydroxide, then what will be the reaction? When sulfuric acid react with calcium hydroxide, you know, this is the formula of lime water. I'm coming up with a very important concept with that. Calcium hydroxide is a lime water. So when it will react with like this, then calcium sulfate, definitely. So you know that calcium sulfate is the production, and you see this is 2 hydrogen and 2 hydrogen. So you must know this is 2 molecule of water will be produced, and this is neutralization reaction, and this is a simple idea how to balance the chemical reaction. You must understand that you need to equalize the number of atoms in reactant and product. Here sulfuric acid undergoes reactions with magnesium oxide, so magnesium sulfate will be produced. Magnesium sulfate will be produced, and simply H2O, that is water, will be produced. As it is a neutralization reaction, the must production is salt and water. Obviously water will be produced primarily. Sulfuric acid, ferrous sulfate. So this is ferrous sulfate, and then this is 2 molecules of water. So this reaction proves that H2SO4 is an acid. And previously you must say 3 things. Sulfuric acid taste is sour, but I didn't actually taste with my own tongue. Number 2, this is corrosive, and number 3 is it will definitely turns blue litmus paper to red litmus paper. Okay, so if you understand these, you must understand one thing. This is the reaction. You just take a simple look of it, and I know that you people are really talented and you know these reactions much better than me, I really confess. And you see another interesting thing that is coming on your paper, question paper, like lime water and carbon dioxide. If you channeled carbon dioxide in lime water, what will be the changes? It will like a turbid, and then after if you channel more carbon dioxide, then it will be clear. Why? If this is the question, please see that when calcium carbonate is undergoes, this is the metallic carbonate, and think about it, metallic carbonate is reacting with sulfuric acid. So metallic carbonate will produce like calcium sulfate, water and carbon dioxide. If you channel this carbon dioxide into lime water is, this is lime, and if you add water, then it will produce lime water. So when you add carbon dioxide with lime water, then it produces calcium carbonate plus water. This calcium carbonate is actually insoluble. This is insoluble, and that is why it actually precipitates and it makes the solution turbid. It makes the solution turbid. So it looks turbid, but if you channel more carbon dioxide with these solutions, so if you channel like calcium carbonate plus water previously and plus more carbon dioxide, then it will produce a new compounds which is calcium bicarbonate, and this is actually soluble in water. So you must say that this calcium bicarbonate is soluble in water. That is why it looks clear. Previously it looks turbid because insoluble calcium carbonate makes the turbidity. This is very, very, very common and important. please pay attention. If you see this video, if you're just watching right now this tutorial, think about it. This is very common. It may come in your paper, question paper, but you put answer these three actually in these three reactions. So this is line. We know the formula of line, and this is line water, or you can say this is slacked line. So this is line water. So when you use lime water in calcium oxide, it becomes turbid because of insoluble calcium carbonate. It just makes turbid, and then if you add more carbon dioxide, then soluble calcium carbonate, bicarbonate, will be produced. That will be makes it clear. So this is the first lecture of this chapter, acid, base and balance. In my second video, I am coming up with concentrated acid, the role of water in acid, and then after base and alkali, and then I shall explain about the conception of pH and how to calculate the pH value of any solutions. So this is the basic of chemistry. When you will study further more about advanced chemistry, this understanding or these conceptions definitely help you. So take care. Let me know your feedback and keep watching my tutorials. I'm here for help you in your education. Take care. Bye.